Welcome to Create Income with or without a job. I'm Jamila Harris, author of Create Income with or without a job, your original guide to how to get your side hustle on. I'm here with you today from the beach in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I'm here today with part two of our series. Can't afford to pay rent? Here's what you need to do. And you need to do it now. If you didn't check out part one of this series, go and check that video out before you check this one out, because I'm taking you step by step through what I had to do to move from broke and homeless, not able to afford rent and food, clothing, and shelter, the basics. This happened to me in 1980. The same thing that's happening to millions of people today. And I walked through it, I survived it, and I thrived. I now live in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying I have walked the journey, and I'm sharing step by step with you what I had to do to live and thrive. So yesterday we talked about step one. Go back and check out that video. Today is step two. So today we're going to talk about, now that we're in the age of self-reliance, we know we need to make more income for ourselves. We know that there are different types of income. Check out our other videos, different types of income, if you're not familiar with that, because how much money you make does not determine how much money you keep. How much money you make is determined by what types of income you create. So it's very important when you're talking about making additional income to make the right kind of additional income that actually enriches you, that you're able to keep in your hand, keep in your pocket, not income that's taxed so heavily that then you are not staying ahead of inflation. That word you're hearing every day, inflation, it's nothing new. Inflation's been around forever. So the cost of a loaf of bread 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago has always been less than it is today. Inflation is just a reality of modern times. What we have to do is become knowledgeable about the inflation, about how costs go up, so that we can then stay ahead of it and learn to have multiple sources of income, multiple sources of the right type of income that keeps us ahead of the inflationary curve instead of being whacked by it every time inflation shows up. So today we're going to talk about step two for what you need to do to move from where you are. Maybe you've had to move out of your apartment or your home, wherever you were living, because you simply cannot afford it anymore. Rent increases of $500 to $700 a month have wiped out most people. So I am here to encourage you, to give you hope and teach you how to face this situation, deal with this situation, and win. Who would like to win out there? I want to be the coach of winners who win in these tumultuous times. So we have to create more income. How do we do that? With our natural talents, gifts, and abilities. Wherever you are, whatever you have right now at your disposal. Yesterday, we gave you two activities to do. One is decide what your natural talents, gifts, and abilities are. What are you good at? Naturally. Not something you have a degree for, not something that you had to go to school to learn. What are you naturally gifted in? Then, who can you get to pay you for what it is that you know how to do? And pay you today. So whether you are great with kids and you need to start babysitting or childcare, whether you're excellent at landscaping, and the reason I'm talking about these basic skills is because some people are not digitally mastered. You know, everybody can't start a YouTube channel and won't start a YouTube channel and do what it takes to grow a digital business. I reminded us historically, all of our ancestors who came to the Western Hemisphere came here as immigrants or slaves. And they did more than just their job to create income to be able to have the basics, food, clothing, and shelter. And guess what? We have to do the same thing. I don't know when we got lulled to sleep that just a paycheck and money from a JOB or even two paychecks was going to be enough for us to survive and thrive, particularly because we didn't understand how money really works. How money really works is inflation is a reality, not just after a pandemic. Inflation is present every single year in the modern economy. So whether it's 1% or 2%, things cost more this year than they cost last year. We happen to be in a compressed position now because of the pandemic. Inflation is now 7.5%, 8%, and it's going to go higher. So what we need to do is be empowered instead of victimized. So I want to share with you exactly what I had to do to move from zero, broken, homeless, to being able to create income and provide for myself. So it started really with my thinking. My thought process is where it started first. I had to stop relying on that JOB and that paycheck. I had to get in my mindset that I can do more than one thing at a time, that I can create income myself, and I had to learn to use exactly what I had available to me at that moment to create income. So if you now have identified your natural talents, gifts, and abilities, you've thought about someone you can get to pay you to do exactly what it is you do. Today is very important before you launch out there, and you may have to just go and do something because, hey, if you don't have food today, if you don't have a roof over your head today, then you need to do whatever that thing is, and you need to call whoever that person is or go to that person's house or business or church or center, and you need to present yourself ready to do the thing you know how to do and get paid today. Just do it. Just get paid. That's the key. But for those of you who may have a little time available on your timeline, a short time, because we already know you're behind the eight ball, you don't have enough. But the next thing you want to do is think about how to create a transitional budget for yourself. Okay, I hate that word budget. What I'm talking about is what is my minimal that I need right now in order to survive for the next month, for the next 2 months, for the next 3 months. What is that minimal expenses? Okay? And yeah, the first thing people tell you is to reduce your expenses. And it's true simply because if you reduce your expenses, then whatever money comes in, you're able to address the survival needs. Common sense, right? But we want to make more money than is required for our minimal expenses. But today, if you don't have enough, you got to minimize what's going out so that what's coming in, what you're going to create, this more money, this new money income you're going to create, we want it to count. We want it to move you from where you are to where you want to be. So there's also a video on our channel about how to calculate your transitional budget. We're talking today about minimal expenses. This is step 2 in the process. Your minimal expenses. So what's the minimum you need? All right, so let's just say I don't need money for food in the next month or 2 months because, I can go to my local church's, potluck after every Bible study and service at the church. Or I have, relatives who basically I can stop in to have a bite to eat. Let me tell you a story of what I had to do one time. And I had literally done what I said to you yesterday. Looked at my natural talents, gifts, and abilities, decided, hey, I can teach. I am really good at teaching. So I looked around and there was a private institute that was hiring people as contractors, not a full-time job, but independent contractors. So I got this position as an independent contractor, teaching something related to law, to paralegals. And so I got the promise of the job. That did not give me the income right away. Okay, so the promise of the job did not give me the actual paycheck. It was just the promise of the job. All right, and so I was at that point living in a town where there had been a natural disaster. So a lot of the apartment complexes had been destroyed in a storm. And so I literally, and this is why, I have a whole nother book called Create Income God's Way. But, you know, as a believer, let me tell you, I know that I was guided to this particular apartment complex because the deal that they had was it was free to move in. It was only $300 rent the next month because they were just trying to get occupancy back into their apartments that had been torn down by this this storm. And so they had literally a 3-month cycle to move people from zero rent the first month, $300 rent the next month, and then the next month was I think $800 or something. I signed up. I literally went from homeless that day. I had got this contract to start teaching. I didn't have money in my hand that day, but because the rent was zero to start, I was able to move into this place with zero money. And then with the teaching position that I had got the contract for, I was able to then wait for that pay to come in order to pay the $300 that was going to be due the next month. Okay? We're talking about step by step piecing it together, creating income with or without a job. Okay? So this is a contract position. This is not a job. There was no guarantee I would have this income over and over again, but it was for the moment enough to allow me to get into this apartment, not knowing after this month number 2 and the $300 that was required, I had no idea how I was going to get $800 a month, but I had to do what I needed to do in the moment to be sheltered, to have shelter. So obviously there was no money for food and other things. So I actually, from my first pay from that teaching, which I believe was weekly, which is why I took that contract. From my first pay, I bought a coffee maker, the kind that it has a pot that you put on the little hot burner. And I literally lived on $10 a week by eating ramen noodles and little rice packets and little soup packets, which I cooked by heating them on the coffee maker element in that pot. So when I say to you that I learned to create income, that I learned to survive, that I had to learn to thrive step by step, I'm sharing with you things that I actually lived and walked through. I know what it's like. I have been right there with no roof over my head, no money for food, and no idea where it was coming from. So that's why I'm sharing this process with you. So what I had to do was decide minimally what is the least that I need in order to live. That's what we're talking about. A transitional budget, which is minimal. What are your minimal expenses that you need to live? I hope this is helping someone. My books, Create Income with or Without a Job, are available from my website, createincomewithoutajob.com. We'll put in the description below. Audiobook or ebook. This is real. These are actual steps that I took as a person going from where many of you are right now to be able to, I'm talking to you from the beach in the U.S. Virgin Islands where I currently live. There's hope, there's encouragement. You are going to make it beyond this, but you got to do these things. You got to become self-reliant. You got to stop depending on paychecks and politicians and other people to come in and save you. You've got to learn to make more money and make the right kind of money that you can keep more of and pay less taxes. You've got to learn how to create and produce from who you naturally are gifted to be. Identify needs around you, use personal contacts, create the income, And this step that we talked about today, of thinking about minimally how much money do I need today to make it to next month, to make it for the next 2 months, to make it for the next 3 months. Just taking that perspective will get you from one day to the next. And listen, you will be guided. Stay with us. These YouTube videos are free of charge. So I will guide you. I look forward to being your coach, to going from where you are right now to where you want to be. I'm Jamila Harris, author of Create Income with or Without a Job. If this video has helped you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and listen to all the videos on this channel. Every one of these videos is instructional to teach you how to become a winner with your finances. You don't have to be a victim. That's it from the beach in the U.S. Virgin Islands today. Boom.